Hey everyone, Chuck from Functional Fly Tying, and thought I'd do something a little bit different today, have some fun. This is one of my favorite patterns. I tie it especially for blue-winged olives, but it works well for virtually any type of fly pattern. You could do PMDs or anything else with it, but this is a CDC spinner that I like to tie, but I thought I'd have a little bit of extra fun and tie this really small, like smaller than you'd probably need to fish it, but we're going to give it a shot anyway. We're going to tie this up on a size 30. So let's go ahead and I'll show you the fly. Okay, so we're ready to start. And let's go ahead and zoom in on the fly or the hook so you can see it just a little bit easier. And this hook is a Gamakatsu C12 barbless midge hook in a size 30. And I'm going to go ahead and bring this in even a little bit tighter. Alright, the thread I have is a Tiemco TMC 60-knot thread in olive. And to get started, we're going to go ahead and tie in behind the hook eye. Make just a few turns of thread, trim away the excess. And the material that we're using for the tails on this are from Whiting's Tailing Pack. And this is a golden olive CDC, or excuse me, Coq de Leon feather. And so I'm going to grab just a couple of fibers, because obviously you're not needing a whole lot of flotation to keep one of these buggers upright. So I'm going to come in and just select two fibers. And again, I want this to I want the tail to be just about the length of the hook. So I'll measure that off. And I'll check my length on that. Make sure that's centered up on top, and we're looking pretty good there. Now the abdomen on this is going to be a stripped quill from a feather that has been dyed blue-winged olive. You can see as you get down to the tip of it, the proportions work really quite nicely, even on a fly this small. I like using these quills, but I like to do a little bit of planning, because as the quill gets thicker as you move up, you can actually, if you're willing to start small, you can get 4 to 5 flies out of a single quill. Something in a starting biggest fly would be in about a probably 12 to 14, and then you can work your way down from there as far as you like. The only trick to it is that you have to tie the smallest flies first in order to get maximum use out of the quill. So I'm going to tie in this quill right in alongside the tail fibers. But then I'm even going to wind just down around the tail fibers, but just bind that quill in for an extra turn or two below the tail. And that'll help prop the tail up and make the abdomen a little bit more noticeable. Then I'm going to bring that thread forward to get that out of the way. pull up on those tail fibers. And I've got those first two turns in. Now we'll go ahead and come up and over the top of the tails. And then bring that forward. You can see that on a hook this size, you can still get some nice segmentation with the small tip end of that quill. It's also important to pre-soak these quills when you're working with them. Just put them in some warm water for a couple of minutes. And I have that up to right behind the thorax area. So I'll go ahead and trim this away. Now when you're tying flies this small, you really don't need to worry about having much of a wing. But what we're going to do is we're actually going to create a spinner design that is going to look really, really appealing on the water, and it's also going to aid in visibility, because seeing a fly like this from 30 or 40 feet away is no small feat. So what I've done is I've taken some chartreuse foam and I've cut it as thin as I possibly can get it, and then I've trimmed it again widthwise. So I have just a very, very small sliver of foam there. My wing and thorax is going to be a natural done CDC feather. But we're going to take a little bit of a different approach to it. I'm going to stroke this needle along the thread to get it to flatten out. And then I'm going to separate it with the needle. Now this is a CDC puff as opposed to a regular CDC feather. And with these puffs they have a little nipple at one end, which is really convenient for working with these split thread applications. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take and poke the nipple through. And I'm going to get the fibers on the right hand side to be about the wing length that I would want for a hook this size. Then I'm going to come in and trim tight on the other side. And then I'm going to take a little bit of this out of here, because on a fly this size you really don't need all that material. Then I'm going to go ahead and give the thread a spin. Spin it gently, or you can actually hold the thread out towards you, spin the bobbin more assertively down below, and then when you let go, that will tighten up on those fibers. Now it's simply a matter of using that early part of the thread to bind down any foam, and then you're going to make a few turns with the thread and then finish up behind the hook eye And then the final step is to come over the top just like that. And what happens is that chartreuse foam makes for a nice little, not only a wing case that forces the CDC out, but it also gives you a nice element of visibility. I'm going to take a couple more turns of thread. Do a couple whip finishes. And there is your spinner. And what I like to do is come in on the underside of the hook and trim away a little bit of that CDC material that is directly under the abdomen. And believe it or not, even with it being this small, that little piece of chartreuse foam is remarkably visible from a distance. And there you have it. So there you go. It's fun to challenge yourself with these smaller flies. Start with like a 16 or an 18. Work your way down. Don't try to jump straight into a size 30. That's sort of a recipe for madness. But do give tying those smaller flies a shot. It can be a lot of fun, and it's kind of cool when you get one done and it looks the way you want. So thanks for watching. Look forward to seeing you again. Bye.